right, time to recap round 4 here on Eagles Draft Central, presented by Dietz and Watson. Amy Campbell, Fran Duffy, Ross Tucker. As always, the Eagles addressing the cornerback position. Zech McPhearson out of Texas Tech. A lot to like about this player, a lot to like in the secondary, an interesting story. We are going to take you through all of it here. Guys, what do you think of the pick?
He's an athletic player. This is a guy that was a 2-year starter down in the Big 12 for Texas Tech, a transfer from Penn State, so we can get a little bit of background from our Penn State expert here in Ross Tucker. But an athletic corner, he's got traits to work with. Also a big-time special teams player as well over the course of his career.
Yeah, I really remember loving his high school video and thinking that he would get a chance to play at Penn State right away. Didn't really happen for him. They had some other talented corners. He went to Texas Tech and turned his life around. I mean, he goes there, starts right away. You know, the word in my mind for McPherson is solid. He's not great size, but he's not undersized. He doesn't have great speed, but he has good speed. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's a good tackler, he's good in man, he's good in zone. There's not anything really that stands out to you negatively, and as you can see, he had outstanding ball production, especially as a senior. He did rise up the charts, I'd say a couple rounds, with what he did in 2020.
Multiple interceptions this year, guys, where he peeled off of his man and was able to find the ball and finish at the catch point for interception. So this is a guy who's very aware and can find the football.
An athlete from a family of athletes. He is the youngest of 7 boys. They all, actually, I think he has a sister, maybe just the youngest of 7. A lot of kids in this family. I'll check that later. But his dad also played in the NFL, a family of athletes. You talk about going to Penn State. He originally committed in football and in baseball, graduated in 3 years, transferred, got a master's from Texas Tech. So I love to see that as well. A lot off the field and intelligent person.
2 things that jump out when you just say that. Number one, what Fran said, when he says, everybody understands this, when he says that twice Zech peeled off the guy he was covering to go then make a pick, that shows that he sees the big picture. Yep. And that's football intelligence, which is really, really important in the NFL. Much more so, I think, than the common fan realizes when they get into measurables. And then the graduation thing, there are a lot of programs out there, a lot of NFL franchises. That's a huge thing for them. For him to get his master's, what it shows is he's a mature kid. What it shows is he's dedicated and committed, and he sees the big picture. You want guys like that on your team. They have a better chance of sticking and staying for a while because they just get it. They're professionals already, even though they're in college.
You know what else will help him stick as well is that this is a guy, one of those rare players in this class, over 500 special team snaps in his career. So when you talk about he goes to the pro day, tests very well across the board in all of the athletic testing. So you have a high-level athlete, good kid, special teams background, traits to become a starter. That's why he's an early day 3 pick.
How do you know that? Fran knows everything. How do you know how many snaps on special teams he has? Fran knows everything.
We talk about
I try hard. I prepare. Fran knows everything.
You can know everything, too, if you go subscribe to the Journey to the Draft podcast.
There you
That's
go.
it.
I love
go
that.
subscribe to the Journey to the Draft podcast. You know this already.
Well, I can't tell you how many snaps he had on special teams, but I was going to bring up the special teams impact. And, of course, we talked about it in our pre-draft show, how important that will be, especially for guys on day 3. But McPherson blocked 2 extra points and had a special teams touchdown during his time at Texas Tech. So that production there as well, adding to the value. What do you guys think about how he's going to fit into this Eagles defense? Again, new defensive coordinator, completely new defense. In the past, there's been a lot of different versatile defensive backs. When we look at this cornerback situation here with the Eagles, Darius Slay, who's 30 years old now. We have Avonte Maddox on the last year of his contract. A lot of young, unproven guys behind them. How do you like how he fits into the room?
Well, it's a new defensive scheme, which means that even the guys that were here, it's kind of a blank slate where, you know, everybody's trying to learn the new scheme. Everybody's trying to get up to speed. So he could come in, find a way to compete, and even if he's not playing on defense in year 1 as a rookie 4th-round pick, again, that special teams background, he can lean on that and become a backup, chip in on defense where he can.
You know, it's funny. We always look at it from the Eagles' perspective, and rightfully so. Let's look at it from Zech McPhearson's standpoint. You know, 4th round, okay, those kids get an opportunity. They're not usually designed to plug in right away. You don't expect a rookie, although a guy like Avonte Maddox did some great things as a 4th-round pick at corner for the Eagles as a rookie. But if you're McPherson and you're looking at the Eagles depth chart, you're feeling that there's a real opportunity here. I mean, we know about Darius Slay, and we think Avonte Maddox will be in the slot. We'll see how it shakes out. But there's other places he could have gone as a fourth-round pick where you're battling to make the team or be the fifth or sixth corner. He has a chance to come here with his experience at the college level and his production and get playing time early.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, remember, he's a player that played on the outside at Texas Tech, but he has got that skill set that can translate to potentially play in the slot as well. So that versatility on defense will help him.
Yeah, it seems like a really good fit. All right, with that, let's go now to Eagles insider Dave Spadaro. Dave, the Eagles addressing the cornerback position here in the fourth round. What do you think of this pick here, Zech McPhearson out of Texas Tech?
Look, I mean, we all expected them to really address the defense heavily, so it's no surprise with McPherson. I think it's interesting looking at the cornerback situation and then also listening to what Howie Roseman said last night when asked about cornerback. The Eagles had opportunities to take cornerbacks in rounds 2 and 3, and they passed on that. And he said there are other ways to skin the cat, right? So I think that potentially here, you bring in McPherson, you take a look at him, you develop him. You don't expect him, as Ross said, to be a plug-and-play kind of draft pick. And then you look at some of the free agents out there. There's still some veterans on the streets or maybe some veterans that you expect to get cut or might be available via trade. Because if you look at this depth chart, and there's no depth chart, but the position group, who are you lining up with? If there was a game tomorrow, who are you lining up with? Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Craig James? I mean, guys, help me out here. This is a wide open competition with a lot of young talent that secondary coach Denard Wilson is going to have to work with. And so I think the Eagles are not done at the cornerback position and maybe not done by a long shot. They still need help there. And they need to, honestly, again, look at it and go, who exactly is lining up as a starter at the cornerback position? You need 3, 4, 5 of them, right? That you can throw in there. We saw last year with all the injuries that you just can't have enough depth there. The Eagles still do not have enough depth at the cornerback position.
Dave, I know we don't know a whole lot about the defense that Jonathan Gannon is going to run here in Philadelphia. Do you have any sense from talking with him what they're looking for at the cornerback spot?
We really have not spoken specifically about cornerback, but I think we know that in Minnesota, Indianapolis, more zone-driven defense, face the quarterback, go steal the ball, get some takeaways. Jonathan is all about having players who are mean, physical, high football IQ, and aggressive players. And so that's what I look for. I think it's a group that is really, really in a transition period here. Darius Slay was largely left on an island last year by Jim Schwartz. Difficult assignment for big play Slay. But Ross, I really don't know yet. I mean, we have not seen the players on the field. We have not really talked to Jonathan about the scheme. Haven't talked to Denard Wilson at all. A lot of unknown there. I guess, obviously, whatever the skill set that McPherson brings here is along the lines of what the Eagles are looking for.
Dave, it's going to be hard for us not to be able to call Zech Z-Mac since we have our own C-Mac here
right.
With Eagles Entertainment. Help set the table for us here moving through the rest of day 3. I know Howie Roseman said during his pre-draft press conference, day 3, try and find something that's guys that have an elite trait, something that they can hang their hat on to be able to stick in the league. Just kind of projecting forward through the next 7 picks here for the Eagles. What are your expectations and what is their thought process here going through the rest of today?
Again, going back to the meeting that they have every third day morning where Andy Weidel leads the meeting and the scouts stand up and pound their fists on the table and put stars next to players' names. So clearly McPherson, I'm guessing for sure, had a star next to his name. Somebody really went to bat for Zech McPhearson. I think defense will be heavily addressed. Wouldn't shock me to see running back addressed here at some point. Tight end, there's that whole question out there, right? We all know what it is. It's the elephant in the room. What's going to happen? Are the Eagles going to make a move one way or the other with Zach Ertz? But that's been the big story that has been circulating outside of this building. So there's just so many things to look for here on day 3. I look at the safety position, I still look at the linebacker spot, I look at the edge rusher spot. All of these positions can be addressed with 7 selections remaining.
Yes, lots remaining to be seen today. Dave, thanks so much. We will catch up with you after the 5th round.
All righty.
All right, now I just want to set the record straight here. Zech McPhearson, youngest of 7 brothers, but does have a sister as well. All of them are athletes. His father is an athlete. His mother played in the National Women's Football League, running back and offensive line. I can't wait to hear about what that legacy means to him and as he joins this Eagles franchise. We'll be right back here after the 5th round to recap the Eagles selections. Right now, it's pick 150, but that could change, so we'll see you after round 5.